I'm Cecilia Vettraino Strine. This is my Uncle Dominic Vettraino, my Aunt Ann Vettraino, and my mother, Theda Vettraino. The four of us were gathered at this very same spot on May 15th of 1954 for the dedication of this area, which at that time was known as Piazza Vettraino. It was dedicated in honor of my grandfather Michael for his 50 years of service to Cranbrook in planting gardens and planning the landscape around campus. Today we want to talk more about the history of the Vettraino family because he was not the only one who served that many years. So there are actually 6 Vettraino children in the original family, children of Michael and Michelle Vettraino, who immigrated through Ellis Island and came to Cranbrook in 1905.
I was born in 14, John was born in 16, Annette was born in 18, Sam was born in 20, Connie was born in 21, and Rosie was born in 22. Mr. Booth used to give my dad money to send us fare to some of his relatives over there because he claimed they came from good stock and had a green thumb. They knew how to make things grow. So a lot of my father's cousins and some of his brothers came over here and worked. Some stayed and some went back.
Did you say you had a story to tell me about these trees?
Yes, about the time your father was born over here, your grandfather planted these arborvitaes. There was a hedge of them along this wall. And I'm amazed that they're still here. I didn't realize they were that long a life.
So that would have been, what, 1916, you said?
Around late, yeah. The cottage was built in 1915, so about 1916, I would say, right. About the time your father was born.
Now, if I understand that correctly, the house that's right behind us that we know as the Hedgegate Apartments was the Italian cottage years ago?
Italian cottage. It was built about 1915 for the Italian workers here at Cranbrook. And my brothers and sisters were all born here. Well, it was my father, my brother, a couple of my sisters, my wife Ann, my niece Cease, and an uncle. And then after World War II, there was some of my father's nephews that came from Europe, came from Italy to work here. So probably a couple dozen Vettrainos, all told, have worked here through the year. Cranbrook was a bunch of barren gravel hills when Mr. Booth bought it back in 1904. And there were just a few old oak trees on the place. There were no evergreens at all. Most of the evergreens were bought. The big ones were moved in the wintertime from as far away as Crooks and I-75, where the Northfield Hilton motel is, or hotel. And they would go there in the winter and they'd move evergreen trees 10, 12 foot high on a bobsled with a team of horses pulling them over here. And they came cross country. Nothing was plowed in those days. And my dad says you walk snow 3 foot deep sometime, and they would move those trees in here. And then a lot of them were bought as little seedlings, and they were planted.
We're now standing outside of Christ Church, Cranbrook, and as you can see, I have some new characters with me today. Standing to my left is my Aunt Rose Vettraino Rosselli. Again, my Uncle Dominic Vettraino, my Aunt Ann Vettraino. This is Connie Vettraino Ross, and my Aunt Annette Vettraino. The reason that we are here at Christ Church is in St. Dunstan's Chapel, there is a column that has been dedicated to yet another Vettraino. Gaetano, Uncle Tony as he was called, who lived with my grandparents, Michelle and Michael, and who worked for Cranbrook also. His dedication to Cranbrook was honored in this way by dedicating a pillar in the chapel to him. And as you can see, I am now standing next to the column that was dedicated to Uncle Gaetano Vettraino, Uncle Tony. Okay, Aunt Rose, you want to tell us a little bit about the picture you're holding?
Yes, this is the old homestead. We all lived in this house. I came here when I was 5 years old. Vaughn School was right behind it. I'd get up at 8:45 and race over and be at school by 9 o'clock.
Okay, Aunt Annette, you want to tell us about this Detroit News article?
Well, this was a picture Pop taking while he was resting after making his rounds. And this is another photo of my dad and watching one of his people mowing the lawn, and his first little grandson, who was always going around making like Grandpa with his hands behind his back.
We're standing here on Valley Way. Well, these homes are the homes where the maintenance workers lived. And right now, what you're looking at in the video is the home of my uncle and my Aunt Ann. It was built for them when they were married. And then across the street at 29 Valley Way is the home that I grew up in. When I was a little girl, not only did my uncle and my father work on the grounds, but they also served in the capacity of security, working every other night and every other weekends, serving to protect the grounds of Cranbrook. And they also were part of the volunteer fire department. Cranbrook had its own fire truck, which you can see here behind us. And not only did it have its own fire truck, but my father John and my uncle Dominic here actually built this fire truck from the ground up. Now, were there many fires actually here at Cranbrook? Was the truck used to fight fires on the grounds?
Not too many fires here at Cranbrook. We had a few, but we did help the city of Bluefield Hills, because in those days the city only had a one-man crew, and we always were helpful to the city. Mr. Booth always believed in that we doing all we could to help the community around us. So.
Okay, Uncle Dom, this picture, it kind of looks to me like it was taken out in front of Brookside.
This picture was taken in front of Brookside. Every year, about graduation time, Miss Winters and then later Jack Denio would ask me to bring the fire truck down there so the kids could get their pictures taken on it and climb on it and have a little fun.
So as you can see, there have been many generations and extended family members of Vettrainos who have contributed to the history of this place. So collectively, the Vettrainos have been with Cranbrook for over 100 years. So I guess we honestly can say that we have helped contribute greatly to the foundation and the growth of Cranbrook Educational Community.